Have you ever felt so overwhelmed and exhausted by the daily struggle that you completely lost the big picture out of sight? You forgot what your long-term vision was. Or maybe you started thinking that you're not even capable of having a long-term vision precisely because of this overwhelm and exhaustion. If yes, this one is for you. A couple of days ago, I hosted a workshop on the concept of the hero's journey. It's a mythological and storytelling, but more importantly, a psychological concept that provides us sort of a map for our own personal growth and development. So, while trying to translate this concept onto our lives, it makes sense that we are going to talk about having that long-term vision and creating a bigger picture of our lives. And then during the Q&A portion of the workshop, one lady asked this immensely important question. What about those people who don't have a long-term vision because it seems like they cannot have it? Why? Because they are completely overwhelmed and exhausted by the day-to-day struggle of just getting things done. This is the very familiar situation when life hits you. You don't have enough time, you don't have enough energy, then you're losing your drive and motivation, you're losing your hope for a better, more meaningful future, and your life looks like a hamster wheel, or feels like a hamster wheel. You're just getting things done through the day. You're getting things done. You're trying to complete everything that needs to be completed in the day. More often than not, you fail to get everything done that you think you should get done. It carries over to the next day. The next day is even more busier, and every day looks like that. Every day is a race with yourself, a race that you continue losing. And in all of that confusion, overwhelm, exhaustion, sometimes even panic, you never think of the big picture. You never dream. You never allow yourself to dream. You don't have that enthusiasm for the future. Dreaming and enthusiasm, keywords that we will return to. All in all, you understand, you get the idea, you understand the picture, no pun intended, that sometimes life gets so difficult and busy that you cannot have the big picture. So, what do we do in that case? This is what this lady asked, and we had a great interaction, but now I'm bringing this to you because I know how many people can relate to this. Well, there is one interesting and useful metaphor that we can use here. I don't know if you ever heard this related to meditation. Some people say everyone should meditate 15 minutes per day or 20. I'm not sure what the numbers are in this metaphor, but it's irrelevant. Let's say everyone should meditate for 15 minutes per day. But if you are too busy to meditate 15 minutes per day, then you must meditate for an hour every day. And hopefully you get the idea. If you came to the point, if you arrived at the point where your life is so hectic that 15 minutes of sitting and doing nothing seems like too much to you, if you came to the point where you think you cannot afford to just sit and exist for 15 minutes, then it's not about a lack of time. You are in a dire need of changing your approach to life. And I would use this same analogy or metaphor when it comes to this situation of not being able to have a long-term vision, of losing the sight of the big picture and ceasing to hope that there is a big picture that is meaningful and exciting. Now, with all the acknowledgement and compassion for the person, every person listening or watching to this, and every person who isn't but is living this experience, with full understanding and compassion and acknowledgement for the person who feels like they're getting crushed by life, again, because of how busy and overwhelming their life is, with all understanding, compassion, and acknowledgement, I have to challenge that person and say, this is now a matter of you continuing like this and hating life, or you taking action to be able to start getting excited, enthusiastic, and even falling in love again with life. Falling in love with life and becoming passionate about life and enthusiastic and excited. And if it's a matter of these two things, this is on you, or this is your challenge to take on. In what way? Just like the person who needs to meditate 60 minutes because they think they cannot meditate 15 minutes. Precisely because your life feels like you don't have time to stop and reflect. Precisely because of that, you need to reflect more than anyone else. But not reflect in the sense of dwelling on how your life looks. No. You need to do two things. First, you need to allow yourself to dream once again, because you've stopped dreaming. And again, it's understandable. This is not coming from a place of judgment, but you've stopped dreaming. You need to allow yourself to dream once again. And I just have to put a side note. I've spent my life around people who've been crushed and hit by life, and who lived decades and decades of their life just being in service to their family, in service to their children, fulfilling their responsibilities and duties, never thinking that they can allow themselves to dream, that they could ever dream again. So I have full understanding how that looks like. So I will never judge that type of person. I have deep compassion for them. But I'm telling you, you have to allow yourself to dream. And as noble and as honorable as it is to live a life in service of others and fulfilling your duties and responsibilities when you are finding yourself in difficult circumstances, the one thing that always comes to my mind is a single parent. Since I was 13, I was raised by a single mother. My brother and I were raised by a single mother because our father passed away. And I know what it's like to look at someone who has completely devoted their life to fulfilling duties and responsibilities and not dreaming for 1 second. As noble, as honorable as it is, that's not the way to live life. No matter what the circumstances are, you have to allow yourself to dream. To have some vision that is vision for you. So allowing yourself to dream. We cannot be talking about 5 practical steps to allow yourself to dream. This is something where you need to have not 1, not 2, but maybe 15 honest conversations with yourself. Maybe, let me backtrack. Maybe it's going to be 1 honest conversation with yourself where you really experience a shift and you allow yourself to dream. But maybe you're going to have to go on 15 walks, 15 days in a row, 10, 15, 30-minute walks. And ask yourself, can I allow myself to dream? Why not? Can I dream small and work towards dreaming bigger? Journal. Read something that will inspire you. Probably fiction is going to allow you to dream more than non-fiction will. Maybe watch a movie or a TV show that will inspire you. Again, all of this requires time, but this is about you and your life. Whether you're going to hate or love once again, or for the first time ever your life. So you have to create time for these activities. Allowing yourself to dream. And then the next one. Now, to not get into discussion of how to, in a very precise manner, craft your long-term vision. Let's not think about it. Once you have allowed yourself to dream, have something to look forward to. Viktor Frankl talked about this. We are a creature that is a forward-moving and forward-looking creature. You cannot experience your life as meaningful if you don't think that something in the future is waiting for you. So maybe this is a great argument against misinterpretation of Eastern practices as advising that you can arrive at a state of permanent presence. That is in conflict with what it means to be human. A human being who completely abandons the concept of the future is not a human being anymore and has lost one of the best parts of itself. Once again, if you need some inspiration or confirmation or convincing on the importance of looking forward, read Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl. So, if you have allowed yourself to dream, and I should add, I made a mistake in just saying dream, also hope. For some people, dreaming is such a far away concept, but hope might be something closer. Because dreaming almost always entails you wanting something great, something exceptional. Hoping is you can at least hope for certain suffering to end, or certain injustice to be fixed, or certain misfortune to be overcome. So to allow yourself to dream and hope, then if you have allowed yourself to dream and hope, then you have something to look forward to. And then when you have something to look forward to, the second thing to do is to actually take time and invest effort into reminding yourself of the thing that you can and are looking forward to. Meaning, when you wake up every day, you cannot tell me that you don't have 1 minute to remind yourself of the thing that you are moving towards. You cannot tell me that you don't have 1 or 2 or 3 or 5 minutes to repeat to yourself out loud what your long-term vision is. If we go a step further than that, you can write it down. You can have some visual representation of it. There are infinite ways to stay in contact with your long-term vision. But now let's stick to these most basic ones. As little time as you have, it will be enough to quickly remind yourself of your vision, maybe mission, dream, in any case, the future that you're moving towards. What does this do? Well, this gives you more energy to deal with the day-to-day struggle. This is where the paradox is. When someone says that they are so consumed by and overwhelmed by or with the day-to-day struggle to the point where they have lost their long-term vision and hope for the future, it's actually a negative feedback loop, because the lack of long-term vision is what leaves them without energy and drive and motivation and strength and resilience and perseverance to continue moving through this day-to-day struggle. And they are getting crushed by life. So you have to sacrifice some amount of time and some amount of energy to start thinking about the future again. But first you have to allow yourself to dream and hope. And then when you are thinking of the future, when you do have a future to move forward to, or to move towards, then all this day-to-day struggle has completely different context, because you're moving through the day-to-day struggle towards that thing that is waiting for you in the future, that thing that you're building. Instead of you are surviving day-to-day struggle until you collapse, until life finishes you off, until life squeezes the last drop of energy out of you. So once again, let's use the meditation analogy. If you think that you don't have 15 minutes to meditate every day, then you must meditate 60 minutes. Well, if you think you don't have time or energy or drive to construct a vision for your future, then that means that you more than anyone needs to take time and energy and effort and courage to construct the vision of the future and to allow themselves to dream and hope once again. You need it more than anyone else. And you need to find a way to do it. No matter how busy and exhausted you are, you need to find a way to spend time dreaming about and hoping for a more meaningful, exciting, and better future for you. Take that first step. My challenge to you is schedule one 15 to 30 minute walk with yourself, without podcast, without music. Music is okay if it's going to be a music that is inspirational, that is personally relevant, not some hyped up music, something that touches you deeply. So music is okay as long as it's not overstimulating and as long as it's personally relevant. No podcasts, audiobooks, things like that. No messaging while on the walk. No calling anyone. You with yourself, maybe some music, and thinking of the future, making an effort to construct a more exciting, meaningful, hopeful vision of the future. Let me know in the comments if you have been struggling with creating a long-term vision, if life feels too overwhelming, and if you take on my challenge and go on that walk, report in the comments how it went. Thank you.